Hey crafters, Lisa here from Fun Stuff Crafts. So glad you could join me for another Inspiration Friday. So last week we did a wood making sign, and this week we're going to get back to sewing. So I wanted to do a upcycle project. So about a year ago, we had a local furniture store go out of business, and I got given to me their complete sample of upholstery fabric. Now I'll tell you, I have got some of the, you can tell it's the upholstery, comes right out of the book, and I have got all kinds of different samples. And so originally when I got the sample book, I wanted to make some purses. And I love to carry just a little crossbody purse. And so that was originally what I wanted to do with these samples. But then I picked up a really cute little coin purse, and I started using it as my wallet. So that was kind of like my inspiration. And I got to thinking about all these samples I had. And so I have come up with this cute little coin purse. And the neat thing about it, you guys, is it has got a continuous zipper. So the zipper is just one going all the way around. I don't know about you, but I used to have lots of like makeup bags and different type of bags, and the zippers would break. This one will not break because it is a continuous zipper. So we are not only going to upcycle and use these upholstery swatches that I have, but I'm also going to show you guys how to put a continuous zipper on. So give me a second and I'm going to join you back at my craft table and show you how we start this project. But before we get there, I wanted to say thank you again to all my faithful followers. We hit 600, over 600 in YouTube subscribers this week, and that is just so exciting, and I really want to thank you guys. If you guys are new to my channel, please make sure you click on the subscribe button down below, and there's a little bell that YouTube has, and if you click on that, each time I upload a new video, you will get an alert. Now, I try to do a new video every Friday. It's called Inspiration Friday. This week, you may see this video a little bit earlier because my family and I are actually going out camping. So I'm trying to do this one a little early. So please subscribe and leave comments below. I love to hear from you. I've been getting lots of comments lately, and I really try to respond to those. So thanks again for joining me. Give me a second to get my camera angle changed, and we are going to get making these cute little coin pouches with a continuous zipper. Okay, crafters, so let's get ready on this project. So I just want to show you, this was my inspiration coin purse. I picked this up at a craft fair a couple years ago, and I love the size of it. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to recreate it, which I did here, a little bit bigger, but the big difference here is I put in a continuous zipper. So as you guys can see, the zipper goes all the way around. I used to make a lot of different type bags, makeup bags, and one of the things I always ran into is the zippers coming off the runner or the zippers coming unzipped. And so I just really like this continuous zipper. Okay, so then the next thing I wanted to show you guys before we get started is these I absolutely love. So about a year ago, a local furniture store went out of business, and I was given their entire book, of one of their entire books of different samples of all the upholstery fabric. So I have all kinds. I've got a drawer below me that is all full of upholstery samples. Now, I originally got it because I wanted to make some purses. But then when I started thinking about this project and remaking this, I thought, what better thing for a coin purse, good sturdy fabric, than to use all of my upholstery samples. So you can go out and actually buy the upholstery sample books on eBay. In fact, I have a link in my blog that will take you to some examples of it. Or you guys can just go buy some outdoor fabric. I like either the outdoor fabric or the upholstery fabric for these bags because they're just nice and sturdy. So let's go ahead and start this project. It is really a great one to use up some of your scraps too. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use this piece for the outside piece of the fabric. And then I found in my stash, I found some scraps. And I just thought this might be a nice contrast to have inside of my coin purse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn my iron on, and so I can just press this out. What I like to do is I like to use my acrylic ruler and my rotary cutter, now that I've mastered the rotary cutter. And this cutout is going to be 5 inches by 10 inches. So 5 by 10 or 5 by 10 and a half actually is what we might do. So what I want to do first is I'm going to go ahead and bring in my pressing pad here just for a second, just so I can get out some of these wrinkles, so I have a nice even working surface. This is one of the other new tools that I've discovered as I'm rediscovering my love of sewing, is this felt pressing pad. It just does such a nice job on pressing fabric. So when I'm making these bags or these coin purses, one of the things that I like to do is I like to cut my fabric at the same time. That way I know I've got the exact same size. So we need to cut this at 10 and a half by 5, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and place this fabric on the bottom, since I've got a nice edge on this fabric, okay? And so I'm just going to measure it up a little bit on my mat here, my larger mat, and then I'm going to take my rotary cutter, get it into good camera angle there for you guys, and I know now that I have got this at 10 and a half by 5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead with my rotary blade and I'm just going to cut that exactly. I should have 2 nice cuts there. Oops, didn't quite go through the rotary blade all the way. So we'll just recut that a little bit. Okay, so now we are left with 2 pieces of fabric, okay? I've got the outside of my bag and the inside of my bag. And if I just double check the measurements on those, I can see, if I go this direction, I can see it is 10 and a half by 5, and the same with this one, okay? So what we want to do next is we want to prepare our zipper, okay? I always start out with a zipper that is longer than what my bag's going to be, okay? So this zipper, I'll measure it out really quick here. This is a 14-inch zipper, okay? So the very first thing we want to do is we want to cut it right before that metal, the metal stop, okay? So we're gonna cut that off, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing here, and we're gonna unzip it. So we've got 2 sides. We're going to discard this one. We only need the one side of the zipper, okay? And I'm just going to go ahead and cut it right next to the metal stop, okay? So we are left just with the one part of the zipper, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. And I've got the zipper stop, okay? So I've got my 2 pieces of fabric, my zipper, and my zipper stop. So now what we want to do is, I love to use my clips. So we are going to start with the outside of our fabric, and we are going to take our zipper and we're going to place it face down, okay? So my zipper good side is here. We're going to put the good side of the zipper to the good side of my fabric, okay? So I'm just going to center that. Little excess zipper is always good. Could have even went with a 16-inch zipper here. That's normally what I buy everything in bulk in. We're going to line that up really close, and then we are going to take the lining side of the fabric and we are going to lay it right on top. Now it's really important that we get these lined right up, and so you're really even here. I'm going to use my clips, and I am going to clip my fabric so that it stays together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to put my zipper foot on my sewing machine, and we are going to sew a very close edge all the way along, and you can feel the zipper right here. So I'm going to go really close right here with my zipper foot, and then we'll open it up and we'll move on to the next step. So let's go ahead and put one more clip on. Why don't you join me over at the sewing machine, and we will put that stitch in. Make sure you don't lose this little guy. You definitely need him. So we'll put him off to the side. So why don't you join me over at the sewing machine. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my regular foot, and I am going to put in my zipper foot. Now your zipper foot is your smaller foot, and it gives you the ability to get your, oops, I gotta rethread my machine. It gives you the ability to get really close to the zipper, okay? So I'll get my machine threaded here. Okay, so I've got my zipper foot all ready to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rest that zipper right, that foot right up next to my zipper, so I get a nice, clear, close seam. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and rest that down, bring it over. I'm going to bring my needle over. Okay, and when I go down, I can see that I'm right next to the zipper. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I backstitch. Okay, and then I'm just going to go straight along there, and I'll just remove my clips. Sure that I do a back stitch at the end, and we'll cut our threads. Okay, and now we'll pop back over to the sewing table. Okay, so we're back at the sewing table. I've got my iron ready to go. I've got my felt pad open, and what I like to do is I like to press each one separately. So I am going to go ahead and I am going to press very close to that seam, and then I'm going to turn my zipper, kind of pull the other way so I can make sure. Okay, and then what I like to do is then I am going to close it and fold it where I've got my right side showing out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just give it a really good press, because we're going to go back to the sewing machine. We're going to do some top stitching. Okay, and I like to press both sides. Okay, perfect. So I got that nice that way. Now one other thing I like to do at this point, I've got a nice seam on it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my rotary blade, and I am just going to even up those edges, because every once in a while when you pull on the fabric you end up with a little bit extra lining, and so I'm going to go ahead and just cut out that lining. Okay, and so I've got a nice clear edges. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go back over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to put my regular foot back on, and I am just going to do a seam, a top stitch seam right down there to secure that zipper in place and to secure the lining in place real nice. So let's hop back over the sewing machine. Okay, so I'm going to take my zipper foot off, and we are going to put our regular foot back on now. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to use I'm going to turn it the other way actually. I'm going to use the end of my zipper foot there, or excuse me, the end of my regular foot, and just run that right along where my zipper is so I can have a nice even stitch. Now this stitch is really important to have straight because this is what is going to show. So I'm still going to do my back stitch, and then I'm just going to take my time and make sure this is a nice straight even stitch. Back stitch, clip our ends, and let's hop back over to the sewing table. Okay, so we're back at the sewing table. So now you guys, I want you, I'm going to put this under just so maybe you can see this a little bit better. This is the hardest step of this entire bag, and it is where we need to put our zipper back in. So this is why I told you don't want to lose this guy. So what you want to do is you want to line up the ends of your zipper, and you want to get rid of any little strands or strings you have so they don't get in the way. And what you need to do is you need to slip your zipper back in, okay? And one side goes in pretty easy, and then you need to get the second one in. And like I say, this is the hardest part of this whole project, but it's worth it, you guys. You just have to take your time and work it. So I get one side in, and I start to get the other one in. Takes a little working. There we go. And then if you grab both ends, you can usually zip it. And see, I got it zipped. Okay, so I've got it started to zip. So I can zip it all the way now. And now all we got to do is clean up our sides. Okay, so big caution here, you guys, before you go to the next step, unzip it part way. I sometimes like to throw a clip on the end here, just so you don't want that to come undone yet. Okay, now we're going to flip it this way. Okay, so we've got right sides and right sides. Okay, so you're going to open it all the way up. Okay, then what we want to do is take our clips, and we are going to match up our edges, and we're going to clip around. Line everything up nice. Okay, do the same thing with the bottom. Now, in the lining, we are going to leave a little bit of an opening because we want to turn this right sides out. Okay, so I want to make sure that when I take it over to the sewing machine, I'm going to start here, I'm going to back stitch, I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to stop about right here. Okay, you can mark that with a pen if that works out, or I just say that last clip, I'm going to backstitch there. Okay. Now the other piece of it that is tricky is you want that zipper to be folded towards the lining. Okay. And when we go to stitch this, we're going to go back and forth at least 4 times here, because you really want the strength so that zipper is good. Okay. Now you could also at this point in time clean up any edges if you wanted to. So you can see here that I've got a little bit of an offage on my edge. So I'm going to go ahead and take the time and I'm going to clean that edge up a little bit. Okay. And it's perfectly fine if I have to go over that zipper. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just clean that up. Okay. That way I've got a nice clean edge for sewing. Okay. So let's redo that. And again, make sure your zipper is pointing right there. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and meet you back over at the sewing machine. We'll do our stitches. And we're just about done with this project. Oh, one thing I want to add. Almost forgot. I picked up these cute little tags that I ordered online that say handmade by Fun Stuff Crafts. So if you want to put a tag in yours, now is the time to do it. So I can unclip that edge there and I can put this just like that. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit and I'm going to put that, and so that way I'll have a little tag on these bags. Okay, so join me over at the craft room. Excuse me, over at the craft room, over at the sewing table. Okay, just like before, we're going to do a back stitch to start with. So let's go ahead and put our foot down. And I'm just using my foot as a guide for the seam. Raising my foot to turn my corner. Now I want to caution you when you're going over this zipper. You want to go very slow. And you might even want to use a walking foot if you have one. See, I just went very slow. Now I'm going to go backwards. My machine's not wanting to do it, so I'm just going to turn it around and I'm going to go frontwards. Very important that we go over that zipper a couple times, you guys. This fabric I'm using, this upholstery fabric, is a very bulky fabric, so. Okay, now I can just continue on. Turn my corner, put my foot down. Remember, we want to stop so that we have room to turn this inside out. Okay, so let's hop back over to the sewing table. Okay, we're back at the sewing table, and one of the things I want to do is I want to clip my corners. It just makes for a much nicer turn on your corners. Make sure you don't go through your seam though. Okay, and then what we're going to do is that small opening we have, and remember we left the zipper open too, very important. We're going to turn this project right sides out. Okay, go ahead and get my front part pushed through there. Now one thing I like to do now before we take our final step is I like to really poke out my corners really good. So I use a pin or maybe you've got a bone folder, but just something to push those corners out, okay? So I've got those. Then what we're left with is we are left with our insides, and we just need to finish off our opening, okay? So you can do your choice. You can either, it's going to be at the bottom of your bag, so you can either hand stitch this seam right here, or you can run a zigzag stitch on it. So I'm going to run a little press on it really quick, just so it's nice and straight. And then I'm just going to pop over real quick to the sewing machine, and I'm going to go ahead and throw a zigzag stitch on it. And I'll be right back. Okay, you guys, I just put a quick little zigzag stitch on there, and I'm going to go ahead and clip. And then what we're going to do is we're going to poke the insides in. We're going to bring out our corners. And we have got ourselves a cute little coin purse. So how cute is that? So we started out with 10.5 by 5, and we ended up with a 4.5 by 4 cute little bag. Okay, and the zipper, as you can see, is the continuous zipper. We've got a beautiful inside finished. It looks very professional. Got my cute little tag on there saying handmade by Fun Stuff Crafts, and we are set. Now, I will tell you, the other thing that's really fun to do with these is to put some really cute little pulls on these. And I actually have a project I'm going to be doing this weekend with my niece that we're going to be making some pulls. So if I get some of those done, I might add them to the video. But so what do you guys think? You now know how to put in a continuous zipper. Goes all the way around. It's not going to take the chance of coming off its tracks for you. I have a little thread hanging there. Coming off its tracks. Just think, you could make this a little bit bigger. We started out with a very small pattern just because I like it to use it as my wallet. Give you an example. This is what, so here's my Starbucks card. These work out great for your cards. Look at that, fits in there just perfect. I carry a very small purse, and so I don't like to carry a wallet, or if I'm just running to the store. You could even add a handle on these. How cute would that be, just to put a little wrist handle? Or you could make it longer. The key to these is you need a zipper more than double the size of what your width is going to be, because you're only going to use the one side. So let me know what you think. Leave comments down below. I will have a list of all the supplies on the blog post, which I will also list below. So thanks again for joining me for another Inspiration Friday. Another great project that you can upcycle with upholstery material, samples, or you can go out and buy your own material. Let me know what you think. So here's some examples of our finished product. Thanks so much for joining me for another Inspiration Friday. I hope you like this project using upcycled fabric swatches to make these cute little pouches. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and click on the bell, and YouTube will remind you each time I upload a new video. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below, and don't forget to check out my blog at funstuffcrafts.com for other DIY projects.